Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and as we count down the days to the next Avengers movie, one big Marvel mystery has emerged. After Thanos, who's next? Now, sure, it might be a little premature to start measuring the drapes with Thanos while he's still very much the reigning champ, but we have gotten some major clues that a new threat beyond the Mad Titan is looming. So move over, old man, there's a new evil puppy we want to play with. But who is it? Future MCU villains have been brought up before, but it really depends on what general narrative direction Marvel wants to go for Phase 4. Really, I see 4 big directions, and I'm gonna break down each one and look at these recent hints to suggest who the next villain could be. Spoiler warning in case any of these predictions end up being right. Okay, when looking ahead to Marvel Phase 4, the elephant in the room is Disney's upcoming merger with Fox Studios. Soon, Disney's Marvel Studios will regain the film rights to Fox's Marvel properties, X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Deadpool, many others. So the first big direction I see Marvel Phase 4 going, rebooting the Fox Marvel villains. The best version of this is, I think we can all agree, a reboot of Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is one of the smartest and most dangerous threats throughout the Marvel comics, and unfortunately his 2 major screen adaptations to date haven't really done him justice. Fans are desperate for a version of him done right, and in a Marvel Phase 4 that reintroduces the X-Men and Fantastic Four to Spider-Man, the Avengers, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, it could be the perfect setup for Doctor Doom to wreak havoc. And he's not the only great villain from this side of the Marvel world who would now be able to take over the show. Magneto, Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, these are all super powerful villains whom we've seen before, or in some cases we'll see again. And if they're rebooted, it could threaten the Marvel Cinematic Universe in all new interesting ways. Like, imagine if the Avengers and Spider-Man, the others, realize mutants exist among their world. There would now be a lot more enhanced individuals running around, and now they would have to deal with some zealots among these mutants, trying to militarize mutant kind. Now yes, it's essentially the plot Magneto and Apocalypse have tried to carry out before, but trust me, it would be a lot more fun if Spider-Man and Iron Man and the Hulk are all mixed up in this conflict. The Fox Marvel lineup also includes some cosmic forces that could be brought into the MCU. Characters like the Silver Surfer, Annihilus, and Galactus, who could pose apocalyptic threats to this universe as much as Thanos did. But if Marvel wants to essentially expand the cosmic side of things like that, they don't have to recycle Fox villains. They have plenty of their own cosmic entities to pull from. And that brings me to the second possible direction for the Marvel Phase 4, going cosmic. With each passing phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the movies have gotten more and more daring with expanding the boundaries of its physical reality. Remember the first Iron Man and Thor? They ended with one-on-one showdowns in quiet city streets on Earth. Now, we got Doctor Strange swiping through dimensions and timelines like they're boring Instagram photos. Ant-Man is stuck collecting mysterious healing particles from a subatomic quantum realm. Thor and Hulk are blasting through devil's anuses. Gross. We're legitimately studying concepts of theoretical physics to try to predict where these things are gonna go. And by studying, I mean like Wikipedia. And Infinity War was the craziest leap yet, right? Half the entire universe is dust. And judging from the comic series that movie was based on, Thanos interacts with several even larger cosmic godlike creatures. There's Mephisto, that's Marvel's version of the devil. He's basically by Thanos' side the entire story. Galactus gets pissed off when this happens, and he joins beings like Eternity. Eternity is the living embodiment of the universe itself. Kronos, the master of time, and the Living Tribunal, the universe's almighty judge, to try to hold Thanos responsible for his actions. Doesn't work. But any of these beings could be more dangerous threats for the Avengers to face, because they're essentially gods. And while taking gods on might seem a bit tough, they might not be alone. Like, the more I rewatch Infinity War, the clearer it becomes that Thanos is a true hero of that story. The directors even said that at one point they considered having Thanos narrate the movie. So imagine a Marvel future where Thanos fights alongside Thor and the other characters against one of those other greater cosmic threats. Josh Brolin could play yet another cold-hearted Marvel villain turned ally. The MCU has already teased the existence of such greater threats. Of course, Dormammu from the Dark Dimension and Doctor Strange is still presumably alive and well, maybe a little pissed off that Strange tricked him with time. Doctor Strange director Scott Derrickson hinted that Nightmare could be the villain of the next movie. Nightmare is the evil entity from the Dream Dimension who feeds off negative human emotion. And remember, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2's post-credit scene introduced Adam Warlock to the MCU. He's another godlike figure who plays a huge role in the Infinity Gauntlet comics, and he has an evil opposite character named Magus, who would be another major comic threat if Marvel wants to use him. But while we're looking at figures already introduced in the MCU, that poses the third possible direction for Phase 4. Returning to past MCU villains. Dormammu isn't the only MCU villain still kicking around. Red Skull from the first Captain America was of course revealed to be alive in Infinity War. And Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy will play a role in the upcoming Captain Marvel, though I think that's obviously going to be a flashback back, and unless timelines get completely reset, I think his time is done. Interestingly, there was that Easter egg we caught in Spider-Man Homecoming where Peter is rummaging through the government storage and he finds an old Ultron head. Its red eyes appear to be glowing, which is how in Age of Ultron you could tell which Ultron drone contained his consciousness that moment. Maybe it's just a jokey Easter egg, or maybe it's suggesting that Ultron's consciousness still exists, waiting to be reawakened. I'm just saying Ultron is a pretty great Marvel Comics villain that the movie could have done a lot more with. And the same goes for the Mandarin from Iron Man 3, who was revealed to be a charlatan patsy, but it's been hinted that the real Mandarin could still exist out there somewhere. But really, the Mandarin feels like more of a small-scale baddie, which brings us to our final direction that Marvel could go for Phase 4, making things personal. Maybe instead of expanding the universe in Phase 4, Marvel could condense it, like focus in with more personal anthology stories for each of their heroes, with villains that correspond to their specific values. Honestly, this is where superheroes are at their best. Good stories feature heroes and villains that are philosophical opposites of each other. Black Panther and Killmonger, The Dark Knight and the Joker. In a way, Logan and his empathy-free self, X-24. It's kind of hard to do this sort of thing with universe-threatening cosmic villains like Thanos. But imagine a Black Widow solo movie, something we know is in the works, in which she takes on a villain like Taskmaster, who can mimic any attack dealt to him blow for blow. Or a Spider-Man sequel that brings Norman Osborn into the MCU. There have been some theories out there that Oscorp could take over the old Avengers Tower in Manhattan now that it's vacated. Of course, Sony still owns all the Spider-Man properties, and they would have to give special permission to Marvel to feature them in the movie. But it is looking likely that Far From Home will feature multiple Spider-Man villains, making things personal, perhaps setting up a Sinister Six in the MCU. Now, do these sound like a new foe who threatens to destroy them all, who would replace Thanos? Maybe not, but villains can be destructive in more emotional ways than sticks and stones, folks. Like maybe Marvel can get my old grade school bully to be its next villain. Yeah, she was the worst. Who do you want to be the next major villain of the MCU? Comment down below with your thoughts and follow New Rockstars on Twitter and Instagram at New Rockstars. And for my takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at EA Voss. And subscribe to this channel for more Marvel theories and breakdowns. And during this holiday season, if you're planning to write a mean comment down below, just remember that the next villain could be you. Come on.